What's up, crypto junkies? Welcome to another crypto news segment. And today we got some good stuff to talk about. A few more obscure stories that I don't think many people will catch. And then we've, of course, got some stuff to graze over the surface, which is all positive FUD for the day. So Bitcoin is up 5%, hitting up over $3,600. Ethereum, 8%, up over $100, which, again, you got everyone that was talking and saying that cryptocurrency is dead, Bitcoin's dead. So it's good to see that it's got some good pumps in it still, you know. 5% pump in a stock market would be like plastered all over every single Bloomberg, Forbes article that they can imagine. You know, 5% hits on Bitcoin and it's crickets. So, okay, let's get it started. Tim Draper invests $1.25 million in Bitcoin payment processor OpenNode. This is great because we need more payment processing startups and projects going on right now. What Bitcoin represents is everything that PayPal and Square and Stripe is the exact opposite of, right? It represents a truly decentralized way of collecting payments. You know, these payments aren't held over you. Your accounts can't be closed. Your accounts can't be shut down and limited. They're going to hold your funds for 180 days. They're going to charge you, 3 to 5% every which way that they can. With more and more, especially social media personalities, I've noticed recently that are getting kicked out of, Patreon, kicked out of all these other sites that basically just their front end for using PayPal and Stripe, Visa, MasterCard. More projects like this now are becoming so important, especially in the media space, in the alternative media space. So I'm really excited to see this. Next, we've got Peter Schiff calling out Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's been under fire recently because he supposedly has this fund and there's disclosure issues and conflict of interest, which I definitely agree with, because if this guy has positions in Bitcoin and then he's a quote unquote expert that's paraded around in CNBC, it's in his best interest to say things and act in a certain way to best serve his positions. And not everybody does this, and I don't think it's a healthy assumption to assume that everyone's doing this, but there's been some really interesting things coming out about him recently and his fund. Once again, want to point out the double standard that you got somebody like Elon Musk got slapped for $40 million for tweets. And this guy's on national television is Brian Kelly. What I would really just love to see is just stop the hypocrisy. If we're going to hold, Elon Musk accountable and slap Tesla, then we need to hold all of them accountable. Then doesn't that also mean that like news networks that every other day are saying Bitcoin's dead, it's garbage, it's a piece of shit, should be held accountable because they're affecting the price action? Possibly, and that's seen as market manipulation because that was the underlying reason by the SEC. But wait, do we stop there? What about people like Warren Buffett who says that Bitcoin is rat poison squared? Or what about any other talking head, Jamie Dimon, that's repeatedly over and over again said overly biased things, good or bad, about Bitcoin? Shouldn't they be called into question by the SEC for the effects that it has on the market? So I'm confused, overall in that whole double standard. But hopefully in time they can straighten this out. But anyway, Brian Kelly just revealed for the first time on CNBC that he has been short Bitcoin. Too bad he did not disclose this conflict as he was pumping Bitcoin up to the CNBC audience so he could dump the rally. CNBC should apologize to his audience and fire Kelly from their network. I actually agree 100% with Peter on this. I think Brian Kelly is not good at what he does. He was telling people to buy Ripple and they did a full-blown Ripple tutorial right at the all-time high. He was telling people to buy Bitcoin at the all-time high, and this whole time he has been short. I wonder when those short contracts are actually opened up. I'd be interested to see that. Anyway, moving on. This is an interesting piece. Blockstream satellite now means most of the world can use Bitcoin without internet. This is so big. I really don't know why this isn't got tens of thousands of shares yet. The world can use Bitcoin without the internet. That's a big deal. Because right now there's what nobody's really paying attention to, which is very concerning, is that everything we have is digital now. Everything is running on the grid. If the power goes down, everything goes down. Your Wi-Fi goes down, which means your phone goes down, which means you can't take selfies, which means you can't post those selfies to Instagram. Well, you can still take selfies, but you just can't post them anywhere. Oh my gosh, God forbid. It's interesting to me that this conversation isn't really talked about that often. It is, but from a really apocalyptic end of the world kind of angle, which I don't think is necessary. It should be a concern though that, all the analog stuff has kind of gone away and all the old school ways of doing things are kind of quickly deteriorating moderating. Those are required to a degree because of if we roll back, if something happens with the power grid. Developers promised the API would go live for users January 2019. While satellite communications are traditionally cost prohibitive, Blackstream Satellite will finally allow developers to adopt satellite communications in their applications. Head of Blackstream Satellite, Chris Cook, commented in his blog post. Natural disaster notifications, secure personal messaging, and sending Bitcoin market data to remote locations are just some of the exciting examples of the power of this service. And this, of course, is because we need something. Bitcoin has to continue to be government resistant over and over and over again and be free of the matrix. Time and time again, it has to keep reinventing itself to stick to that if it wants to stay decentralized, truly decentralized. So that link, of course, will be underneath the video as well. And this story is starting to blow up. Just broke essentially in the last 6 hours. Bloomberg did a piece that essentially confirmed that because they had gotten a hold of bank statements, that Tether, the digital currency USDT, has in fact had the money that it claims in its bank accounts all along. For example, one statement shows 2.2 billion was in Tether's account at Puerto Rico's Noble Bank Ltd on January 31st. That same day, 2.195 billion Tether existed, according to data compiled by CoinMicrocap.com. The numbers also match up in September and October of 2017. Tether and Bitfinex, a cryptocurrency exchange, are owned by the same executives. The bank statements show money flows between the two after Bitfinex became the only way to buy and sell Tether last year, according to people familiar with the matter. The issue with this is that there's still two sides of this camp. And one of them is saying okay, where are these bank statements? Where are these statements? And also too, some of this is public knowledge. So some of this older stuff is public knowledge and already been talked about over and over again. January 31st of this year is a long way away from December 18th of this year. All right, we got 11 months of mystery. So I haven't seen anything on this in maybe since June or July. This isn't even an article. This isn't even worth mentioning. This has already been talked about, and a lot of this is already public knowledge. And that does not prove one way or the other. Actually, it doesn't. It did at that point in time. It proved for January 31st, and it proved for September and October of 2017 that was true, but it doesn't really mean much for December of 2018. There are still a lot of people that are saying that this is essentially bullshit. There's a lot of people saying that essentially, this article isn't saying anything. It's weird that Bloomberg is writing a piece like this. They're just essentially calling it FUD, okay? So people like Whale Panda are still sticking to their position about what they've been talking about through this whole year and 2017 about Tether. Just a quick piece of news. We're excited to announce our partnership with North Avenue, a subsidiary of Yahoo Japan, to publish CoinDesk Japan in March. I think that's cool. CoinDesk obviously branching out and now really sinking its teeth into the marketplace and will be a leader now. The last thing I wanted to talk about, this is one of those harder pieces to find that I actually only saw one other person mention on Twitter today. Crazy, 197 downloads. Just released today, essentially. 9 economists, both Israeli and American economists, basically measured ICOs. So let me just read the abstract to you. The surge of interest in cryptocurrency has been accompanied by a proliferation of fraud. This paper examines a pervasive tactic long known to financial markets: pump and dump. While the fundamentals of the ruse have not changed in the last century, the recent explosion of nearly 2,000 cryptocurrencies in a largely unregulated environment has greatly expanded the scope of this abuse. The paper first quantifies the scope of cryptocurrency pump and dump on Discord and Telegram, two widely popular group messaging platforms with 130 million users and 200 million users, respectively. Both platforms can handle large groups with thousands of users, and they are the most popular outlets for pump and dump schemes involving cryptocurrencies. We identified 3,767 different pump signals advertised on Telegram and another 1,051 different pump signals advertised on Discord during a 6-month period in 2018. The schemes promoted more than 300 cryptocurrencies. This comprehensive data provides the first measure of the scope of pump and dump schemes across cryptocurrencies and suggests that this phenomenon is widespread and often quite profitable. This should raise concerns amongst regulators. Wow, it's good. It's good that data like this is coming out, actually, because the more you shine the light on any sort of scam or scheme, the harder it is for it to continue to reinvent itself through different people, through different names, through different, slightly different, lipstick on a pig. I, for one, actually like this because it's a lot more data that retail money and retail investors can look at and get a better idea of where they should be putting their money, essentially, through learning. If they haven't already lost money and learned the hard way, then they can research things like this and be able to put together a better plan for themselves. Okay, so this link will be underneath the video as well, and definitely one of the more interesting things I've come across in the last couple months. Okay, my friends, that is it for this video. Go ahead and click the like button. If you want to comment or you got something to say about what we just talked about, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below. And if you want to support us in some sort of fashion, we have a Patreon where you can just donate money to us, which helps us with our research, helps us grow our team, and some of the upcoming projects that we have and the growth that we want to accomplish with this channel. Check that out below. We got a Teespring campaign rocking and rolling right now. I believe you'll still get those that merchandise before Christmas if you order today. And we've got t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeves, phone cases, all the good stuff. Check that out as well. And then if you're brand new to the channel, go ahead and click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future updates. That is it for now, my friends. Bye.